Hi guys, welcome to the Bench Podcast today. Good episode today. We're going to be talking about the promotion of Leeds United from the Championship into the Premier League after quite a long absence. On my right, we have Ethan Cunnington.
Hello.
And then below me, we have George Bennett.
You're right, guys. Welcome back.
And so obviously the latest news from the Championship are still quite close for the other positions, but we know that Leeds United will be coming up as champions as well. That was confirmed after Brentford lost to Stoke, which has obviously put a dent in Brentford's challenges for automatic promotion, but have a good chance to playoffs. So West Brom, I think, are in second now. I think so. I haven't actually looked at the table, to be honest, but
I'll look at the table now.
I'm pretty sure West Brom is still second. West Brom is still second, I think.
I love it. If
so top are Leeds.
They've won it now.
Second, West Brom. Then Brentford, then Fulham, then Forest, and Cardiff, and then Cardiff in top six.
It'd be good to, actually, to be fair, I would like to see Forest in the Premier League, actually.
Me too, to be fair.
Well, that's another topic. That's another topic for the day. I mean, it could happen still. Who knows? My
ideal thing, obviously, we've got Leeds coming up. I like Brentford to finish second, and I like Forest to come up in the playoffs. That'll be all. That'll be so good. Because you've got Brentford, got newcomers, got Leeds, who probably deserve to be in the Premier League, and Forest with the culture they've got. Hopefully Villa stay up as well. Like going back to some of the old days. Like we had some of the old teams back in the day.
Yeah, I get that.
Big clubs as well, historically.
Love history back in the Premier League. That's what you want, really. So you want to?
So we're going to give Leeds congratulations, and finally, Leeds haven't really fallen apart again, because Leeds have always had a history of falling at the last hurdle. Like thinking back to last season when they lost against Derby. And
Leeds are falling apart.
There was that game. Remember the Villa game that they had, and all that stuff where Pontus Jansson he didn't want to give them the goal, did he? Because it was a foul leading up to it, wasn't it? It was a mad game.
Yeah. He plays for Brentford now. He does.
They moved on.
So it might be going promoted.
Joining them, yeah. No, it's been an interesting time for Leeds. Obviously, since they got relegated from the Premier League, I think it was 2004. They got relegated because they were because for a long time, Leeds were. I know there's a big debate going on whether Leeds should be a big club or not, and obviously, they haven't had the history of, say, Liverpool or Man United, obviously, but they've had their own history. They've had good moments. They've had legendary players, and it's been an interesting time for them these last couple of years. I mean, as I say, 2004 was when they got relegated. I think they're in debt for like 100 million. Like that's the most it went to, and it was crazy. And then they ended up obviously in the Championship for a couple of seasons. Then I think they went into administration and went into League One. And I think they had like a 10-point point deduction, which was like for a team like Leeds, it's strange.
I know that. I remember them having quite a corrupt owner as well in the 2010s. I think they've got Massimo Cellino or something. It's quite a corrupt owner.
Yeah, he'd been known in. I think he'd been known in Italy. Like I think he was with Cagliari. I think he pointed he had like a crazy managerial turnover. He had that many managers come and go, and it was everything at least for a while. But I think they settled it once Bielsa came in, and
2018 wasn't it?
Yeah, 2018. That had a new owner come in as well, and then since then it's been there's a few bumpy spells, but other than that it's been pretty.
Spygate.
Spygate, with Derby.
Well, I think Bielsa's style, he is very well known in the football industry. Like we spoke about it before we started the podcast with he's influenced a lot of managers such as Pochettino, former Spurs manager. He inspired Guardiola and
Simeone plays managers like that.
Simeone as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's been because. I think the reason why they're taking a lot from him is because I've done my research on him before we started this. He's not won a load of trophies in his managerial career. He's been at teams like Marseille, Bilbao, he's been the Argentinian manager, Chile manager. He's been around a bit in like Europe and Argentina, for example. But like I think he's more famously known for his tactical setup. Like formation he plays is quite different because I think his main formation, from what I can tell, it's like a 3-3-3-1.
So I've been looking up on his on like the style of play that he uses. Like if you look at it on paper, it is a 4-1-4-1, and like the wing backs go so high.
Makes it a 3, doesn't it? Yeah.
They're basically a 3, and like Calvin Phillips, who's been brilliant for Leeds this season, he'll drop back into the 2 defenders and form a back 3, and switch from there. Yeah.
So couldn't you class it as like a 4-1-3-2? So you got obviously your 2 centre halves, 2 fullbacks, a centre defensive midfielder, and you've got 3 like a right side midfielder, Cam, the left hand side, and a striker, and then put the Cam and the right mid left mid. They come back and they can support the person in defensive mid. So they can basically it's like a formation that you can chop and change throughout the game. Basically, it's a flexible formation.
I think more along the lines. I think it's more one up front that they have now. I'm guessing like 2 wingers either side, along with the midfield. Yeah, it's a strange formation, but it seems to work for them.
I suppose you could say it's a flexible formation, then. So like they can change. Which I think is key to. I think mainly key in the Championship, because the Championship is such a competitive league that if you just play the same formation constantly, you'll get found out. So you need to be able to you need to be able to change it during the games, and I think that's what Bielsa's probably good at, because obviously he's a good tactician. But you've obviously, to get out the Championship, you've got to be a reasonably good tactician, because tactics. I think Championship is one of the most important leagues for that, because if you just play the same stuff every week, teams will find you out, and then you just be mid-table mediocrity.
Which is one of the toughest leagues in the world, the Championship. Think of how many teams have been relegated or promoted, and they've crumbled under the pressure of how good the teams are there. You've got some young players in the Championship that they've got quality that can go on. It's hard to do it to compete in the Championship when you've got certain clubs in there.
To go back to Kingy's point, I think it really reminds me of I've always said, like, it agrees with Kingy that to get out of the Championship, it either needs a good tactical style that's different to everyone else, either a player or a couple of players that can get you out of the Championship, like who's going to score like 20, 30 goals a season, or
a ton of money.
Or a ton of money. So I think back to Wolves, for example. Like, I remember when I was stewarding at Wolves, when Nuno was about to come in, Wolves actually started using the 3 at the back for the last game of the season. So maybe they already knew beforehand that Nuno was coming in, and they need to basically prep for it in game. So as you've seen with Nuno, when he was in the Championship with Wolves, he had a new different style of play, and it is hard for teams who don't have a history of playing those kind of styles of play to scout up on those kind of styles and everything.
To be fair, I think Bielsa and Nuno, they're quite similar managers. I personally think, because I think they're quite tactical. So I could see maybe Leeds playing like Wolves, certain Wolves in the Premier League. Maybe not as good as Wolves, obviously, because I think Wolves, they've been in there next season, but their 3rd season, so obviously they've got more experience. So it will take Leeds probably time to adapt, but I think Leeds will survive. I think they'll probably finish lower half, but like 12th, 13th, something like that. So I don't think there'll be any relegation battle, because they signed some good players. But, you never know. Obviously you've had Sheffield United and technically Wolves. They qualified for Europa League. Wolves qualified for Europa League last year. Sheffield United got a good chance of it this year. So, and Leeds have got, for me, I'd probably say Leeds have actually got a better side than Sheffield United, to be honest with you, because Sheffield United's team's not great. So I think Leeds could, I laughed at it earlier, but to be fair, it makes sense that Leeds could maybe push for a Europa League spot, because obviously the confidence of coming up, promotion, But the main key is, as other teams have made, don't buy too many players. You need to buy quality.
Oh, definitely.
So if you're Leeds, if you're Leeds manager or the board, you identify maybe like 4 or 5 players maybe a player for each position. So defensively, maybe 1 or 2 defensively, and then maybe like 1 or 2 midfield, and maybe 1 up front. So like 4 or 5 players. So you just got to pick you can say like a defender. You pick your weakest positions. So you got a defender. You have a fullback possibly, a centre midfielder, or maybe a striker. Because who they got a striker at the moment? Is it,
Patrick Bamford.
He's been in and out of form. He's been in and out of form.
Well, like I'm speaking about how like Bielsa Leeds as a whole will play like in the Premier League. The way Leeds actually play, you can tell that Guardiola is really heavily influenced by him because they do use inverted wing backs. So then, like 2 wing backs will come inside to kind of act as like defensive midfielders.
Yeah,
and that's how the kind of set up. So,
do you know what I find weird is Guardiola this season? I think his formation and playing style has been found out a bit because City have lost quite a few games. For City, they've lost 9 in the Premier League. That's not good. They've lost more than Man United. United have lost 8. And
at the time of recording, they've just lost to Arsenal in the FA Cup semi.
Exactly.
So
they've lost quite in all competitions. They've probably lost about 12, 13 games. And I know they do. I think what they will be doing is focus on the Champions League. I think that's what personally I think they're doing. So
I think that's.
Well, yeah, because obviously they're at the FA Cup now. Premier League, they've got second wrapped up, and that's going to be over. So literally, then they're just focusing everything on the Champions League to win it.
That's the problem when you've got managers like this that they've got one kind of tactical style, and like they don't really tinker with their formations like to be a bit different.
It's got a rigid system.
Yeah, you can get found out.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got managers that know Bielsa's style or like from maybe playing under him or playing against him, like a lot of teams that were promoted from the Championship, like Sheffield United, like Wolves, they know Bielsa's style of play, so he might need to either change his style about a little bit, which I don't think he will, or have a couple of players that will be different. I'll try something differently.
The advantage Leeds have with a man like Bielsa as a manager, he's so cerebral. He honestly he researches so much into these teams. I mean, like obviously there's the incident with Derby last season with Spygate. That's because of his general obsession with trying to keep up to date with all the tactics that his opposition play with, and it's like that's the. I think he's nicknamed back home El Loco because of how crazy detailed he can be. Also, one more thing before we move on. I heard a story when he was getting his work permit to come into the UK. Because I think the way that they do it is it's like you need to have like a special reason for coming in, or what qualities do you have as a person. Apparently, what he did, he made a dossier of every single formation that was played in the Championship the previous season, and
wow.
I'm thinking that's
the Premier League.
You'll get that in the Premier League. It'd be crazy. What happened in the Premier League with him?
I suppose another thing we can talk about is potential transfer targets that they could possibly sign for Leeds. I have actually just thought of that. To be fair,
I'll give you a little bit of first to start off. I'll give you a bit of background information about Leeds and what I've got. So
yeah, that's probably the best thing.
They're taking out this starting lineup. Castilla's on loan, the goalkeeper, but he's been suspended for a while due to racial abuse to
it was
Leco.
That's true.
Ben White's on loan. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure it's Aldo Costa on loan from Wolves.
He's on loan, but he's joining permanently. He's joining permanently from Wolves. Yeah. Got Barry
and
Douglas as well.
Barry Douglas. Who else is on? I'm sure. Jack Harrison. I think he's at City.
I think he wants to. From what I've heard, I think he wants to move permanently to Leeds because he's obviously going to get City, isn't he?
Haven't they got Pablo Hernandez?
He's in his late 30s. Yeah, he's getting on a bit. He is. They're put up to
So
try and
you're starting to see like
a few gaps,
positions where Leeds might need to invest. Like we're probably further on going to it. For example, with me looking at their lineup, they're going to need a new goalkeeper. They're going to need a new centre back because I can really heavily see a lot of big clubs in the top half of the Premier League going for Ben White.
I know Liverpool have been. I know Liverpool been linked with him. Yeah, Liverpool have been after him, and then Brighton might want to keep him as well. They might want to use him for. I mean, Brighton's defence is quite good, but ultimately they want to use a player like Ben White, who's done well in the Championship, and develop him even more. Because
I think really.
To be fair, I think for Leeds, I know he's joined on loan for Wolves. He's gone to Leicester, but I could see him maybe going for someone like a bit more experience, like possibly like Ryan Bennett or something. That would be all right at Leeds.
But he's just signed for Leicester, though, isn't he?
I thought he was on loan.
Yeah, but
no, I think he's loan, but he's going to move permanently from what I think he is anyway.
I was going to say if he doesn't move permanently, he could. I could see him maybe fitting in there.
Yeah, I'll get you.
But the thing is with Leeds, because they've got such like a stiff style of play, they're going to be getting scouts in from now, trying to find the right players that are going to fit their high pressing, high tempo style of football. So you can't just get any other player that's got experience in the Premier League. Are they going to be able to fit in with Bielsa's style?
Yeah. I get what you mean, yeah, definitely. I think one position they do need to improve on, I think, is striker, because we touched on Patrick Bamford earlier on, but as I say, he's been really inconsistent this season. Towards the end of this season, I think he has been starting to score a bit more, but I think like from huge chunks of the season, he hasn't been firing on all cylinders, if you know what I mean. I think they need someone who can score consistently, especially when they get to the Premier League. Because
I think a good signing for Leeds. He struggled at Everton a bit, but I think if he gets game time, I think Moise Kean might be good for Everton because he's Marcel Bielsa Italian.
Leeds.
Bielsa Italian.
Yeah, he is.
Or is he Argentinian?
No, he's
Argentinian.
Oh, okay. I thought he was Italian, so I thought maybe they could probably no, but no, maybe not. Sorry. But yeah, I think to be fair, I think it would be a good signing for them though, because ultimately Moise Kean, you know, he's a young player, reasonably young. I think he's early 20s, I think, or 19, something like that.
Early 20s, I'd say. Yeah.
But he's not really playing much at Everton, so why not maybe sign someone that's not they should try and sign someone like a mid-tablish team, a striker that's got potential, not playing much, and try and get him in because you've got potential to get players in there that could play every week. Because I think Moise Kean, given the time and work, putting a good run of games together, I think he could possibly fit in somewhere like Leeds. Like, you know, he's got potential. You know, he's played with Juventus. He's played with some of the best players in the world. So, you know, obviously,
I'd have thought Ancelotti would have used him more next season because of obviously because they're both Italian, and like I'm guessing he's obviously Ancelotti's worked with some brilliant strikers. He'll maybe know how to get the most out of Moise Kean.
He could do, but I think he's got a good partnership with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. You know, they've got a pretty good partnership. So
yeah, possibly
they don't really need him. But then again, you know, you've always got to have maybe someone. If one of those gets injured, you've got to have someone maybe that can come on. So Moise Kean, possibly. I mean, it's unlikely it would happen, but it would be a bad signing. But
I think with what Leeds could do this season, look towards the players that are maybe getting relegated this season. So I see, like I look at, for example, Norwich are about to go down. Maybe they can go towards like so like kind of that kind of player, or Brent Deer. I think Brent Deer could easily slot into the Pablo Hernandez role, because I don't think Hernandez is going to really suit the style of the Premier League, because he's 35 and he's going to be slow on the ball compared to like the Championship, because the Premier League is faster.
You think you start to face him by then, yeah.
I'll tell you something. I think if Bournemouth go down, some of the players that are there, you've got Harry Wilson, Nathan Brooks,
David Brooks.
David Brooks.
Wilson's still at Liverpool, technically. They could get him off us, maybe, but he's
David
still
Brooks, Josh King, Callum Wilson. They've got some good players there. Villa, not Grealish, obviously, because he gets to a bigger team, possibly. Someone like, I don't know, John McGinn, El Ghazi, Tyrone Mings, possibly. Someone like that, they could probably fit in their team. Or maybe some players from, I'm trying to think of, they could get maybe some. To be fair, there's a player at West Ham that doesn't play, Yarmolenko. I'm surprised they don't play him enough. I think he'd fit into league.
He's had a few injuries, hasn't
he? Yeah, but ultimately, he come on against Chelsea a few weeks ago. And honestly, last 10 minutes, he just slaughtered Chelsea's defence. Just went past them really easily. So someone like him, because you remember West Ham's front three, they're full fit front three. They've got Felipe Anderson, who's played in the Champions League. You've got Sebastian Haller, who's been in the Champions League. You've got Yarmolenko, who's been in the Champions League. So they're obviously good players. So maybe someone like Yarmolenko would get in the Leeds team. There's potential to sign players that have got potential to play week in, week out. And people will say, oh, they're on the bench at this team and, they're not playing well. Maybe they don't suit a certain system, but they could suit another team's system. So why not try and sign it? And if it doesn't work, then I suppose it doesn't. But someone like him, because you're not going to sign unless you put a good bid in a start 11 player from a bigger club, unless you put the money in. If you put the money in, fair enough. But have Leeds got the money to buy players from bigger clubs, like your Newcastles, your Everton, someone like that? I mean, if you can, excellent. Or you could possibly you could go from another country's club, so like Germany, Italy, or do what Wolves have done, like Portugal. I suppose they've got some good talent over there. I suppose you could do that, but you probably want more Premier League proven players.
You'd think more with the Leeds, they want to be careful with their money because obviously they're past. They won't want to overspend on say certain players, otherwise they're going to end up in a similar position they were a few years ago when they could have gone under.
Well, also, they're getting a lot of money from winning the league as well, so they could spend that.
Yeah.
I think the main thing they need to do is get the players that they may have on loan, try and get them on permanent contracts. So I look at
Acosta's already signed. So Acosta's signed.
So look at the goalkeeper. Look at the goalkeeper they got on loan. I don't know how to pronounce them. Meslier from
Lorient.
A French Lorient. Yeah, he's actually been playing pretty good for Leeds when Castilla's been suspended. So they might look to get him on a permanent. I highly doubt they're going to be getting Castilla on a permanent deal because obviously of the controversy he's had in the Championship. I don't think he's been that kind of player in the dressing room.
I don't think he's been 100%. Like I think in terms of I think he's been in and out of form as well as obviously the problems he's had in the past. So they won't rely on him on that regard as well. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
I think Tim Krul would be a good. I think would be a potential good goalkeeper for Leeds from Norwich.
I think I could do better, maybe.
Oh, I could probably do better. Yeah, of course. I mean, but you never know. I mean, if they got the money, they could buy a decent goalkeeper. Look at Wolves. They bought Patricia.
Exactly.
Definitely.
I could see. That's probably someone like a Donnarumma or something, or maybe.
I'm gonna get it.
Okay, that's too far. That's too far.
Yeah, but Patricia was a good goalkeeper. He's a Euro winner. And when he first signed for Wolves, when they come up.
Yeah, Donnarumma's been widely touted as one of the best young keepers in the world at the moment. Or he's going to be like a future keeper for the future. Like, I want to sell Donnarumma off if you could help it anyway.
I think with Wolves had a lot of help with Mendes with getting most of their signings.
Is it Mendes Leeds as well?
I don't think so.
No. You'd be able to tell because of the signings they make. if Mendes was part of the Leeds setup. But I don't know if Leeds have that kind of person that could maybe get them a few deals in their home nation, like Mendes does for Wolves. Who knows? Who knows? But definitely, I can definitely say that Bielsa will have the pull that many big managers around the world will have, and a lot of players will want to play under Bielsa.
I'm interested to figure out what will happen to Calvin Phillips as well. Well,
I think he'll stay.
Yeah, I think he'll stay as well. But you got to think there'll be clubs sniffing around him, maybe even in the January or even the following summer. You got to obviously they've got to think in the future what will happen. Will he leave or will he stay long term at Leeds and maybe like if they get further up in the table, will he be part of that or I mean, who knows? Because he's been one of Leeds' key men this season, if not the key man. I mean, in some regards, it's hard to say in some ways,
but yeah, I'm thinking probably just to finish off now. Like a lot of teams that get promoted, might need some tips for the Premier League. So thinking of like fans that are at the top clubs, maybe we can give them some tips for next season. That maybe some players from the Championship that went to the Premier League failed on. So I'm looking at Norwich. What did they fail on? I'm looking at past teams that have been relegated in the past. What did they fail on? So what tips would you give Leeds for next season?
Well, if you look at Villa, they spent too much money on players, so they need to they need to find the right player for their system and buy based on that. Really, you wouldn't want to overspend like Villa have done this season.
Make sure you try and sign like a prolific. Try and sign someone that's got a good record of scoring goals. They're not someone that's like, hasn't really got a record. I mean, if you've got potential, if they're maybe a young striker, fair enough. But you want to try and someone that's got a decent goal scoring record, so like getting double figures most seasons. It's got a good mate. You want to try and sign a striker from like one of the better leagues in Europe. So someone from like Premier League, possibly a Championship striker, possibly a good Championship striker, maybe someone from like the Bundesliga, someone that's got a prolific record of scoring goals. He's scoring like.
I heard that Leeds were linked today with Edison Cavani.
Oh, that's ridiculous! Nah, man. Where have you heard that from?
It was on Twitter.
Oh, mate, you've been done there. Cavani now, man.
Yeah, but you never know.
Imagine.
Like that would be a big signing if
They'll be like Eric Cantona coming back to Leeds, like in his prime, if he ever came back in his prime. But it's rare.
I do agree with Kingy there. They do need a prolific goal scorer. Like I look at Norwich, and obviously Timo Pukki, he had such a bright start at Norwich at the start of the season, but he kind of like tailed off.
Yeah,
towards the end, and Norwich were lacking goals, and they do need one of those players that are going to get like 20 goals a season. I look at Jimenez when he like now he's at Wolves, and he's one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League, and that's part of the reason why they're towards the top of the table. So yeah, that's the main tip for
It's quite close. The Golden Boot actually this season. I think Vardy's probably going to get it, but you got Aubameyang. Has got 20. Martial, Rashford got 17. Salah's got 19. Mane's got 17
as well.
Ings,
yeah.
I don't know. Jimenez has got about 16, I think. But yeah, it's quite close.
Yeah, I think we should probably draw this episode to a close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so hope you've enjoyed the episode about obviously the individual team, but it's probably the main biggest talking point at the moment. So might as well mention it. We'll probably mention more about Championship because obviously with the end of the Championship season coming up soon and playoffs, we'll be able to review who's come up and other teams that are coming up as well, and see how they'll maybe review who they could sign or what they could achieve in the next couple of seasons. Also, with the return of European football in the next few weeks once the Premier League's finished, and also a review of the Premier League this season. Who's underachieved, who's overachieved. That's obviously going to be probably things we can cover in the next few weeks. There's quite a lot of stuff to look forward to. As I said, let us know in the comment section, where you think Leeds are going to possibly could finish next season, potential signings, and also like and subscribe to the channel because we're going to hopefully do a bit more content coming up in the next few months. Hopefully, maybe possibly soon. It's not confirmed yet. Might be able to get back in the studio as things are starting to, possibly
fingers crossed
get back in the studio. It's not the same. It's not. These last few months hasn't been the same. Doing it behind the cameras, you don't get the same feel of actually recording it because it's not the same. And I think you'd all agree with that, wouldn't you?
We've done well with what we've got. I think, like, despite all the problems that have arose, then we've done well to keep it going. Really, I think.
We've done our best, but I think obviously I know all most of our subscribers probably enjoy it more when we're in the studio, but obviously we have a few issues to sort out whether we can get the equipment and all that. So we're hopeful, and hopefully in the next few weeks maybe we can get back in and get you back into the Stoke setting and where it first began.
Yeah. Oh dear.
But anyway, that's probably going to wrap it up for today. Keep an eye out for future episodes coming soon, and hope you've have a good weekend. So it's goodbye from George.
See you later. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye from Ethan.
See ya. Also, I wanted to add, if there's any Leeds fans watching, just tell us what you think about what your hopes for the Premier League next season, because I'm really interested to see because the Leeds is such a big club, are they aiming for like the top half of the Premier League, or are they just content with being safe in the Premier League? So just tell us what you think in the comments below.
To be honest, Ethan, I think they're probably just partying. They're probably getting pissed because it's been that long. They're probably just drinking themselves to death with the amount of like partying.
Should be a United fan as well. Leeds United. Oh God.
We'll end there. So like, subscribe to the video, and I'll stop rambling now, and goodbye from me, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.
Everybody, a pleasure and a privilege as always to be at Anfield, where we are hoping for another miracle like Istanbul. Shaqiri in his own half rolls it square towards Matip. Mitchell Van. Mistake, Mane into the area. Great skill. Henderson's in the box. Henderson, City celebrating.